Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Downshift. Today we have a very interesting topic to talk about, and that topic is in relation to Chevy profit margins on the Corvette C8, or should I say the lack of profit margins. I say this because recently an article came out from Motor Trend detailing the losses that Chevy is currently digesting each and every time they sell a Corvette C8. This was info that I really didn't expect to hear about, but I'm very much glad that I did because it gives us something fascinating to talk about. The main talking point here is whether or not waiting for future model years is a good idea for the 2020 C8. At this point in time, it's widespread knowledge that they'll be increasing the base price of the vehicle after the first year, and it might be by a lot of money. Let's take a deep dive here into the article from Motor Trend and dissect it little by little. By the way, if you guys are curious, the link will be in the description if you want to check it out afterwards. The start of the article mentions that the C8's base price is $59,999 and that it'll only be good for the first year, as they have reported earlier in August. They claim that if a Corvette's base price does not increase by at least $20,000, then they will continue to lose money on low trim cars. This is something that was supposedly said to the team by a senior GM source. This is fairly interesting because it makes you wonder, how much are they going to raise the price by the time it gets to 2021? We all know that the price of $59,999 was almost too good to be true, and even though yes, the base model does cost that much, it does come with a very slight catch. You have to order a base model, and if you didn't put a deposit down within a couple weeks of the reveal of the vehicle, then you won't be able to get it for this price, seeing as how all the 2020 inventory is accounted for across the country. So what this means is that if you don't have a Corvette C8 order or deposit in by now, then this magical $59,000 number is just a remnant of the past. The real question here is, how much more expensive is the vehicle going to be if they really are losing $20,000 on each base model that they sell? That would mean that after options and packages, the vehicle would need to sell for $79,999 before taxes and fees. Well, before I spit out a random number based on speculation, let's take a look at what Chevy did in the past with their Corvette C7. The second year of production saw a raise of $2,000 tacked onto the base model, and the following year it rose yet another $2,000. Now, is this realistic for the C8? Seeing as how Chevy have spent probably close to $1 billion after it's all said and done in R&D, design, engineering, manufacturing, and much more, I'll go on a limb here and say that the price increase will be greater than just $2,000 for sure. You have to remember that for quite some time now, Chevy has for the most part really been enjoying the fruits of their labor. Not a whole lot has changed in regards to the Corvette over the past 2 or 3 generations. Now, one of the things people criticize Chevy for is playing it too safe in regards to the C6 and C7, and people felt like not a lot of innovation was happening. That's not to say the vehicles aren't good, because they're fantastic vehicles, but they never really made a drastic leap forward and risked anything. With the launch of the C8 though, everything has been flipped upside down on its head and everything has changed. Just putting the engine in the back changes so much that it requires a significant increase in investment from previous generations. Chevy knows this and knows that they're going to be losing money in the short term with this drastic engine placement change. But as time goes on and more C8s are sold over the years, they'll be slowly but surely lowering their cost per vehicle, especially towards the tail end of the C8's production. Once the next generation Corvette comes out, that's when the price per vehicle will really be down, because they won't have to invest so much money right away moving the engine to the back and reworking all the tech and even figuring out the framework. Bringing it all full circle though, I do think they'll increase the price pretty drastically next year, even though they know that they'll have to bite the bullet for a couple of years. If I had to make an educated guess at how much the vehicle's price would rise next year, I'd say the safe bet is $5,000, but honestly, a raise of $7,000 or $8,000 wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. What would surprise me though is an increase lower than $5,000, and if they pulled that off, then I'd be quite speechless, but I just don't see that really happening. Having the vehicle vehicles start at $64,999 or $65,000 makes a lot of sense to me starting next year, and simply tacking on the Z51 package with no cosmetic changes would up the cost to 70 grand for a base model. That sounds much more in line to me with the type of performance and styling we're getting with this vehicle. I could even see a second jump in price following that year, which would add another $5,000 for the 2022 model, bringing the total price to just under $70,000. Beyond that base price, I simply think the sales volume wouldn't be up to par and Chevy would lose a lot of buyers. It's not that I don't think the vehicle is worth $70,000, because I definitely think it is. I just don't think that their target audience would be able to afford it, especially if you start throwing in lots of options at that price point. Now, the most interesting thing about the price increase for the 2021 C8 model year is that we'll have a better idea of what the Z06 could be priced at once we get that information. Regardless of what happens, I'm definitely in agreement with what Motor Trend states in their article in regards to the Z06 model. Their source says that the sweet spot for profit and volume is between $80,000 and $100,000, and once the car gets to six figures, the sales volume basically falls off a cliff. This makes a lot of sense because psychologically, six figures seems like a lot more money than a vehicle that costs $10,000 or $20,000 under $100K. The current Z06 is priced at $82,990, and the C8 version will definitely cost quite a lot more, but if the sweet spot is really between $80,000 and $100K, then they don't really have a lot of room to work with. I'd love a Z06 for the price of $89,999, but I get the feeling that a car as powerful as the supposed C6 Z06 with the mid-engine configuration will push a lot closer to the tail end of that range, maybe at exactly 99 grand. Regardless of what happens, it's going to be really interesting to see what Chevy does here and how they balance out a fair price tag for both the future C8 and the Z06. It's not easy to get the formula right. You have to price it as high as possible. That way you can appease to your shareholders while also keeping sales volume as high as possible. So how much more expensive do you think the Corvette C8 will be when it comes to the 2021 model? We all know that the price will be increased, but I'm curious to know what you guys think about the figure. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop a like on the video as it helps support our channel. And if you want to watch more Corvette and automotive videos, feel free to subscribe to Daily Downshift. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.